All right, so I'm super excited for today's video because we're going to be taking a look at topping deck lists that it did not use the Sinful Spoils engine. I think that's huge. There's a lot of them and you do not need that engine to top, and here's literally living proof of all the people that topped with these amazing deck lists. So let me know which of those you like or dislike and what you're going to be playing for this next format. So let's jump straight into it. This first one, please don't let it discourage you. I know it's Stun. Please don't play Stun. I just wanted to showcase it because it's so funny to me that Stun actually got top 8. Again, please don't play Stun if you can help it, but I don't know. I think it's a fairly accessible deck list actually. So let's check this out. So it's Fossildyna, Jaugen the Spiritualist, which is a I don't know. I really dislike this card. Then we also have Ecclesia together with Punishment. There's no Nadir Servant, nothing like that. There's a couple Moon Meter Shields scattered over the deck list. Secret Village, Necro Valley, Skill Drain, anything and everything under the sun that's just terrible to play against is in this deck list. So you gotta be dealing with Crackdown and Evenly Matched, and for consistency you have all the pot cards. Card of Demise, which is very nostalgic to me, but yeah, let's check the extra deck out. So I don't think a lot of this actually matters too much. There's obviously Entis and all the cards that you just need for Punishment for the most part. So again, please don't play Stun, but here's an idea if you do want to do it. So moving on to the next list, we have Resonator Bistio Horus. So this is the event I went to, and I kind of understand why they did well, because there was a lot of like Horus and Orcus decks and just decks with Bistios in general. I even saw like Unchained and there was Pearly and stuff. So I understand that Bistios worked fairly well in that environment, but it is kind of surprising to me at the same time because they don't seem as insane, especially post the next set. So yeah, interesting that this decklist did so well, but we have Bistios, Horus cards, which are just so insane in themselves, being included pretty much in any deck. And for non-engine, you also have Ash and Crow. Crow is a really interesting choice over something else. But yeah, then we also have the Baby Dragons and Seifert and the Talents, and also for the extra deck, there's all the synchro cards here that you make in your combo. Yeah, pretty much a very standard extra deck for that type of deck. But yeah, there's also the Bistio Aluber here for your synchro plays. So moving on to this next deck list, and also these deck lists don't include a side deck. I know that, but these are the deck lists that I have, and for the most part, you really have to focus on your personal meta with your side decks. So that would be, I guess, some tips I could give you. But yeah, let's move on to this next one. Again, from the same event. I don't think there were a lot of Pearly duelists there actually, but this person managed to, I saw him at the top tables for the entire event pretty much, and he just did well with Pearly Sprite. And I think that's nice because overall Pearly just seems to be obviously struggling with consistency, and it's not in a bad spot, but you need to be really insane with it in my opinion. So including all of the Sprite cards in there as well just makes a ton of sense. You have this entire engine to really, I guess, make things just better for you, and everything works together well. So let's check out the deck list. We have 2 and 2 of both the Pearlies. The Sprite cards are at 1 except for blue, and there's also the Nimble package of 3 and 3, and all of the Pearly spells are over here. And also 1 Talents. It's kind of random, but it's here. There's also the Sprite Trap card. They decided to main deck it. And we also have, yeah, the extra deck is very standard. So nothing out of the ordinary. And as for non-engine, there's Ash, Nibiru, Impermanence, and also 1 Veiler. So non-engine is actually kind of weird, like random one-offs of things, but I guess it worked out. So moving on to the next deck. So yeah, we had a really good game 1 with this person. It was kind of insane, and then we ended up drawing, so that was cool. But yeah, it was a very tense game 1, and this deck list is really good actually. Like, it seemed to be really consistent, at least for the most part. And as for the power spells, I think it was a good choice for this event, and also the inclusion of Fenrir and just cards that put a lot of pressure on boards. And yeah, like Super Poly really hurt me personally, and I'm pretty sure it hurt a lot of other players as well. I saw a lot of Fire Kings at the event and stuff, so yeah, a really good choice of the deck. We have 3 Girsu, 3 Nightmare, 2 Skeleton, which I think is really important. Obviously the one of Harp and the Brass Bombard, I think is called, if I remember well from my, Orcus days. And obviously the one-offs of the other 3 important darks you have to play. And as for Horus cards, Imseti is just busted. Happy is also here. 3 Sarcophagus. And then the power spells that we talked about already. And Ash, and that's pretty much it. So for the extra deck, you have 2 Dingirsu, 2 SP, Zombie Vampire is also really important. Barricade Board Blocker was always great in Orcus decks, and also 2 Super Poly targets, and then your usual lineup of Orcus cards. So yeah, really clean deck list. Okay, so moving on to the next deck list from this event. I also played a couple really good games with Florian, shout out him. Like he just plays so well, and it was really cool to watch. So yeah, an insane 60 card build that managed to get first place. Obviously, he's really good, like just as a player, but it was also a really good choice of a deck because you just want to go to an event and be prepared with a deck list, at least that's the way I feel about it, that does a lot. Obviously, he has non-engine, but for the most part, again, it's just power spell cards. So Super Polymerization, Talents, Thrust, and everything else is just engine. And consistency really is key. If your engine actually does something, you're probably winning. So yeah, insane, just really, really insane. Such a clean deck list. Everything seems to be working together perfectly. Everything is maxed out because of Allure, obviously. Tragedy and Allure is just insane. Mercurier as well. And just, yeah, again, one of the cleanest deck lists. So moving forward, we have Flunder. Flunder is still doing well, and for the most part, what we're really interested in when it comes to Flunder is just on-engine. Because let's be real, like just Flunder is very, very standard. So yeah, we have 3 Rubina, 3 Eaglen, all of that is basic. But then we have Dimensional Shifter in the main deck, which is important and is also going to be important post Phantom Nightmare. And there's also Droll, 1 Deity Crow. Book of Moon is an interesting choice. I don't know, maybe Eclipse could also be an option because like you're just dealing with boards in a more massive way, and it's also used to like dodge targeting negation, which Book of Moon would be used for as well. So I don't think it's any worse. So I don't know, maybe that could be swapped out, but what do I know? I do not play Flunder. And also evenly matched in the main deck, which is also cool. And as for the extra deck, it's a Flunder extra deck, does not really matter that much, but you have access to your rank 1 Xyz plays if you want to do that. There's also the Fucho, Downer Magician, 2 Zeus, 1 Sky Crisis, which is in pretty much every deck list almost. It just seems like a really, really good addition to almost any deck list because you're gonna be in a situation where you're gonna have to use it. And maybe it won't be a lot of times, but when you do, I think it's really gonna come in handy. Okay, we have Earth Machine. So this is from Austrian Open. This really shocked me. Like I do not play Earth Machine, so you guys can educate me in the comments if these are the correct ratios. I have no idea. All I know is that Urgent Schedule is just still, to this day, I do not believe this is a real card. It's busted, and yeah, I don't know. Like Earth Machine, I guess just puts up a lot of pressure with all the bodies. You also have Therian King Regulus to negate your non-engine, and your extra deck is just machine stuff. So I kind of figured like Earth Machine might not be as great moving forward because a lot of times it got carried by having floodgates going first, but that's not the case anymore with all the floodgates being limited. So yeah, Earth Machine still doing well is extremely nice. Same goes for Dino. I shout out to the person getting, what was the top 8 at the Winnipeg Regional with Transcendosaurus Dinos. I think that's nice. Like, to me, dinos don't really seem that amazing. I think they're kind of inconsistent and also struggle to face one hand trap, let alone 2. So that's a really nice accomplishment. You have 3 Oviraptor, obviously 1 Misk, 2 Archosaur, 3 baby, 1 other baby, the vanilla Giant Rex, 2 of the boss monster, 1 of the other boss monster, 1 of the third boss monster, and then there's also the scrap engine. There's 2 Fenrir, which is interesting. I mean, you're already playing 45, so I don't know, the third one wouldn't really make that much of a difference, and it's more consistent to see it. And there's also only 2 pot. That's also interesting to me. Again, you're trying to be as consistent as possible, but already you're playing so many cards. Like, I don't know, some of the ratios seem a tiny bit odd to me. Also, just 1 off Thrust, 1 off Talents, and then the Call by the Grave in like a 45 card list. I don't know, not trying to sound negative or anything. Maybe I just don't really know my ratios when it comes to this deck, but some of them just seem a little bit odd, but still, you know, great accomplishments. So, okay, let's talk about Labyrinth. The first thing that comes to mind with this deck list is the fact that it's 42 cards. And I don't know about you, but I would personally try to run 40 in a deck where you really want to see those amazing and just great 2 to 3 card combos. Like, usually Labyrinth is when it's doing the best is when a lot of cards in your hand function together. And why would you go over 42? I don't really understand. There's also 3 Extravagance together with 3 Rollback, and you already have access to your trap cards or the effects of your trap cards more often, so you probably wouldn't really need that. And there's also the shufflers like Mudora and Keldo in the main deck, which could be easily moved to the side deck if you really have to play them. And Cook Clock also, from what I've heard, some people play it at 1, some people play it at 2, so I don't know. There's also the Ariane, which is not a terrible normal summon. It is not amazing compared to Ariana, but yeah, like, not the biggest fan of this deck list. I think it could be cleaner and kind of trimmed down, and just to go to 40. I think that would just be awesome. And also Punishment, I think, is really good. So Punishment could definitely be in here. Also Ice Dragon's Prison is nowhere to be seen. Only 1 Daruma Karma Cannon. Not the biggest fan. I think it could be worked on, but again, I have not tested Labyrinth for that long to really be, you know, to know that much, but it's just my opinion. So, okay, moving on to the next couple of deck lists we have here. There's Branded Chimera, which, like I keep saying, this deck is going to do well. If someone pilots it well and really knows their stuff, they're gonna do well with this deck. It's consistent, it's baiting Ash, and you have a lot of space for non-engine while doing all of your fusion plays. So I think that's really nice. There's Ash, Veiler, 2 copies of it, but that's fine. It's 48 cards, actually quite a lot of cards actually in this deck. There's 2 Droplet. For the most part, I've seen Droplet in like Manodium deck lists, but it does seem to be working in this one as well. And Impermanence, 2 Talents, 1 Called By. What's the ratio of Patchwork and Ejim? Okay, it's 2-2. This is fine, I think. And also Dark Magician in here for your Dragoon, like, and also 1 Aluber. So it is more heavy on the branded engine. But from what we've seen, you can pretty much play Branded Chimera however you want. So, moving on. Yes, I wanted to talk about this Tier Elements deck as well. It's still a good deck. Like, Agita and Kelbeck hurt, obviously, because you do want to get your stuff into the graveyard, but you're still able to do it, and you can play all of the dangers to enable that more easily. So I like it, and I've also always been a fan of the Destiny Hero engine. I think it's just nice, and being able to easily access BHs because of the levels of the level of the fusion and all of that. I think it's awesome. So with all the fusions over here, I assume they also cited super polymerization. It will make a ton of sense, and I'd like Celine into access code, no Rule Kalos or King of the Swamp or anything like that. But again, that's really up to personal preference, I would say. Also Race Sauce for Fenrir, which again is a 2 copies. So I don't know, I guess that's a trend right now. And speaking of Manodium from before, here we have a Manodium deck list. So let's check out the ratios. I think 3 Samsara is really nice. And also like the Scareclaw right card could be played at 2. You can play 2, you can play 3 and do whatever you want. There's also the field spells. So I don't think the tier field spell is that mandatory, but they are playing 50 cards, so you want to get to your visas. I'm pretty sure, like 99% sure, you can trim this deck down to 40 or maybe 41 or 42 or something like that, and really cut on the stuff that seems a little redundant. Like, I wouldn't go for terraforming in a deck where you already get hurt by draw. Obviously, you have to play Rota, but terraforming is kind of like not that necessary. And the other field spells, again, at least in my opinion, because you're trying to play around draw as best as you can. So you want to lower your deck count and actually draw into your cards so you don't lose to draw as much. So I don't know. Those are just my thoughts. There's also no Omega. I do like the Omega hand loop in this deck, but again, to each their own. There is the Dweller. They decided to play Dweller over that. So yeah, then we have Vanquish Soul. Again, like I keep saying every single video, tier list I make, like this deck is always going to top. It's just gonna do well. If you are able to, I guess, jump over the first hurdle of someone imperming you on your normal summon and you not having a way to tag out, when you get to the rock, you should be fine. Like your engine starts rolling, you get more resources, Shifter is really good, and yeah, this deck list is looking really clean, and I do believe in this deck. I do think this deck is able to fairly easily top. This one, not so much. I'm surprised by Adignister doing so well, but I don't know. The deck list is looking really standard for what Adignister has always been doing. There's just a lot of hand traps, and it did seem to work out for this person. And Crossout, I think, is also really important in this deck because you're able to run such a vast, number of hand traps, different ones. So yes. Moving on, we have also a Kashtira deck list. I had to feature at least one Kashtira just to say that Kashtira is so good right now. It's actually nice. If you're able to pilot it well, you can play going first, going second. Shifter is great, but just, overall, this deck list is not playing the Heat Soul combo, which is really nice. So that's something to look into 100%. That combo is also really cool. So yeah, this deck just has a lot of potential right now because the consistency is much, much better with Unicorn at 3. And it's still an annoying deck to face, but good nonetheless, if we're being honest. There's random one-offs like the Book of Moon. And yeah, other than that, I think it's fine. Okay, we have Rika as well. So Rika was able to do well. I don't know. I don't think the deck is that insane. Actually, it actually lost quite a bit of, combo potential and everything you can do with the limitation of your extra deck monsters. But if you're able to climb to that end board, it's still fairly hard to actually crack it unless you're like on a labyrinth deck or something. Then you just deal with them fairly easily, I think. But yeah, some of these one-offs in here are kind of confusing to me. There is a Crossout. Okay, that's what I was looking for because it's one draw, one Nibiru, a couple evenly matched, and Imperm, but also Ash. So yeah, there is a Crossout. Everything makes sense now. It's fine. You have to have your protection from hand traps. And there's also, I think that is the Branded Chimera list we already looked at, I'm pretty sure. Yes, so that is going to be the last list for today's video. Hopefully you enjoyed, and I really got to show you that you are able to top without Sinful spoils. You can play a lot of different decks, and here's a couple ideas for you. So if you like the video, make sure to give it a like, and yeah, I'll catch you in the next one.